Alright y'all, so here I am again, back with another video, and I'm gonna tell y'all how my high school basketball coach took me to his house after an away game and slept with me when I was 16. So when I was in high school or whatever, I ran track and I played basketball, and I was really good at both. I was an athlete. Like when I tell y'all straight athlete, I was only focused like on my grades and my sports or whatever. So my mom worked or whatever. She would get up every day like 4 or 5 a.m. and my mom wouldn't get off work until about like evening time. So she had to beat traffic. My mom probably would make it home by 5. My mom was the type of mom that was like, okay, if you have to go to tutoring, if you have to do any other extracurricular activities, etc., you're gonna have to find your own way home. Period, point blank. I'm not giving you a ride. I'm not picking you up. None of that. If you can't catch the bus, like, I don't know, you got to find your own way home. That's how that started. So, you know, I played basketball from like 5th grade up. So I would say I was 16 because I graduated when I was 17. So this had to be my junior year in high school. We had a new male basketball coach, whatever. And you know, everything, it was normal at the beginning, right? So mind y'all, I'm very, I don't want to say grown for my age, but I was very mature at a very young age. So I was experiencing a lot of stuff. I went through a lot of stuff. So me being 16, like I knew how to hold a intellectual conversation. Like it wasn't just like, oh, I didn't have like a bird brain. I'm not even gonna say that. Let me scratch that. I didn't have like a childlike mind at 16. At 16, I thought I was grown, and not in the sense of like being fast, but I was just mature. Like I'm not like the rest of these girls or whatever. Like I'm more advanced than I should be, honestly. So we had got a new basketball coach or whatever. First impression, it was like, okay, he was normal. Like, you know, y'all in school, you know, girls or guys, they'll see a teacher, they'll see a coach or whatever, they'll be like, oh, they fine or whatever. I never really looked at him like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I was just so focused on my grades at school, I really didn't look at him like that. So I'll see, you know, on and on in the season, you know, I didn't have a lot of rides. So he knew that, and I was like one of the star players on the basketball team. So like obviously you want your star player or one of your star players to make it to practice and make it to the game. So he started giving me rides home after the games. So I can't even tell you, I'm pretty sure that was not legal. I don't know if coaches are able to give, but anyways, I digress. He ended up being my ride home after the games or whatever. So yeah, so it was one after away game. I think we were playing like Kimball or somebody. Like I can't remember what school, or it could have been no, I forgot what school we were playing, but that's besides the point. So anyways, like I'm gonna go back. I'm not gonna tell y'all about that. I'm gonna tell y'all how everything led up to this point. So obviously I was not, my senior year I think I was captain. Junior year I was co-captain. I always started in the games, obviously, because I was that girl. But anyways, that's not about that. So I would have to get the keys from him to go to the locker room or the ballroom to, you know, get the balls and get everything set up for practice. So, you know, this day it was just like a normal day. I'll go to him like, hey coach, like whatever, can I get the keys, you know, set up for practice or whatever. So he handed me the keys, but he could like kind of like rub my hand like when he gave me the keys or whatever. And that was when I knew like, okay, he on a different. So mind you, like when me and him would talk or whatever, we'll be in a group setting, like I would see him like giving me the eye and stuff, and like it was just very like, I'm not even gonna say innocent because it was kind of known. Like I kind of felt like he was like feeling me. Like it's weird to say, but I kind of felt this like tension. And so that was the first time he actually like physically, you know, like touched me. So I got the keys or whatever, I ignored it. The next day or two or so, like, you know, we had practice again. So I'm always the one setting up for practice. So I was like, coach, I get the keys or whatever. So he ended up doing it again. And y'all, like, it came to a point where we was just doing that for a little while, and I actually started to reciprocate. Like, I was like, you know, I was like, when he would give me the keys, I started rubbing on him too. So it was one point, like, I had went to go get the balls or whatever, and he followed me into the room. And so, like, we had like a washer dryer setup type of deal, and I was in there like getting, it was a game day or whatever. So yeah, I remember like it was a game day. you know, I had to go put the jerseys and everything in the washer, make sure everybody jerseys, make sure all the uniforms and stuff is clean. So I went there, he came in there after me or whatever. And like, you know, I was bent over getting the jerseys out the dryer. And like, he came in, like, he like brushed his, you know, up behind me or whatever. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's crazy. So it wasn't this particular game, but that was like the second big, you know, physical interaction that had happened between us or whatever. So I'm not gonna say it wasn't that game day. It was probably like the next away game. You know, he had to take me home. So I guess on the way, like, he was just basically like, you want to come back to my apartment? So I'm like, I mean, I guess, like, I mean, my mom, you know, she think I'm at a game or whatever. She don't know when my games are over with, this, that, and the other, whatever. So yeah, y'all, so we end up going back to his apartment. Mind y'all, like, around this time, I was 16, so I lost my V card at 14. I had just had my first sexual encounter with a guy at 16. I think it was 16. I actually, like, you know, had with a guy on my, you know, on my own or whatever. So he was probably like the third guy I ever slept with in my life. So we get to the point, whatever, he makes him a drink. He asked me if I want to drink. Mind you, I'm an athlete. I didn't smoke, I didn't drink, I didn't do nothing. But it was just like, you know what, like, whatever. So he ended up making me a drink. Y'all know what ended up happening after that. Like, whatever. Like, actually, he took a shower, I took a shower. And then, you know, we was just chilling. Like, baby, just grown. Like, and back then, I'm thinking like, oh, it's normal. No. So yeah, I'm thinking like, well, I was flirting with him, like, whatever, I'm being grown. You know, I think I'm not gonna disclose his name or whatever, because this was like, it doesn't matter how long ago it was, but obviously I'm 29 now. This was like, I was 16. So yeah, so if you was to Seagoville, it was only one male coach at that time, around that time. So if y'all do know who it is, just don't say anything, because it's like, I'm not making these to like air anybody's business or anything like that. I'm just speaking my truth and like just telling y'all about all the stuff that's happened to me, like, seriously. But yeah, so at the time, I'm like, you know, ain't nothing wrong with it. Like, I wanted to do it. But it's like, it goes back to like how men prey on you. Like, him knowing my situation with my mom, knowing that, oh, I'm not gonna have no ride. Like, him like, oh, we're spending more and more time together. So it's like, he's feeding off of this, my weakness or whatever. So yeah, it's just like, at first, you know, I'm telling him my situation. I'm like, yeah, I'm good at basketball. I want to play basketball. I've been playing basketball, obviously, all middle school, almost all high school, whatever. And I'm telling him, like, I'm not going to be able to make practice or this, and that. So obviously, you know, it was out of genuine help at first. And then it just went from one thing to the next. And so it's crazy because I actually forgot about this incident up until like, I mean, I forget about it and then it comes back on and off. But when I sit down and I think about all of the things that's happened to me growing up, it came across my mind yesterday, because I was like, I really forgot about that. I was a junior in high school, 16 years old, and this 30-something-year-old man took me to his apartment to sleep with me. Somebody who's supposed to be a male role, like my coach. So like, a lot of people are gonna, for one, growing up, everything that happened to me, I used to hate my mom. Like, I used to despise her, because I felt like every time something bad happened to me is when she wasn't around, especially in my younger years. So it's like, if my mom was picking me up, this is how I used to think about stuff. I always blamed her. If my mom was picking me up on a regular basis, I wouldn't have to ask this grown man for no rides. Like, period. Like, and it's just like, dang, I'm always put in like compromising situations. And genuinely at the beginning, I wasn't even on that type of time with him until he like was like, okay. So then I was like, okay, but it doesn't make it right at the end of the day. Some people probably blame me. Oh, you were being fast, you were doing this and that. But at the end of the day, I'm a 16-year-old girl. He's my basketball coach, and he took me back to his place and slept with me. Like, that's crazy. But yeah, y'all, like, he didn't like force himself on me or anything like that. I'm not making this to that extent because it wasn't really like that. But at the end of the day, it's like being an adult. If my 16-year old's basketball coach took like, oh yeah, it's going down. And no, I didn't tell my mom until I was like 25. I never said anything. I told like a few of my friends. I told one girl that I was playing basketball with. I told my best friend, but and I don't know who they told. I wouldn't know. But it's like I told a couple people, but I was just like, whatever. Like I did what I did, like whatever. But now being grown, it's just like that was just another man preying on me. Like the third man I ever slept with. And then it's so crazy because it hurt so bad. It was not enjoyable at all. Like I started to bleed. It was just a big thing. Like, but yeah. It's like being an adult now, growing up. I don't blame my mom anymore. I've forgiven her like a long time ago because my mom didn't abuse me. You know, it was all these men and stuff. But this is just my life. And no wonder why I'm so like I don't trust anybody. I feel like everybody's out to get me. I'm always in my head. I'm always overthinking. I'm always questioning every fucking thing because of all this trauma. Like, I've had some really good boyfriends, y'all. Y'all know I'm married, but me and my husband's situation is different. But I've had some really good boyfriends, and I just self-sabotage, don't believe they really love me, just out to get me, da-da-da-da-da. But yeah, y'all, there's just another story time of how I was used and abused. But hey, I'm here. I'm alive. A little crazy, but I'm alive. So, okay, y'all. So first off, I want to start by saying, I'm looking at these comments on my last video about the situation with my basketball coach. And first thing I want to say, some of these comments are ridiculous. And the fact that there's a lot of women defending this man is crazy to me. Because at the end of the day, whether I wanted to or not, or I knew better or not, I was a 16-year-old girl preyed upon by a 30-something-year-old grown man. And it's men in the comments, which, men, y'all never cease to amaze me. But it's just the fact that, how do y'all feel like that's okay? I just don't understand. I will never understand that. So let's get into these comments because this is crazy. So there's a lot of people saying, oh, 3 bodies at 16, you were fast, blaming me. Y'all love to victim blame. So let me tell y'all this. The first person that I ever had a sexual encounter with raped me. And I hate that TikTok doesn't allow me to say what I need to say. But my dad took my V card when I had just turned 14 years old. It was the summer going into my freshman year of high school. That was the first person I ever did anything with. And I hate to make it sound so like whatever, but I'm almost 30 and like, yeah, the stuff still bothers me, but I'm just trying to be straightforward and blunt and honest about it. My dad took my V card, point blank, period. I ended up sleeping with a guy like twice after that. Mind you, I was going through so much at the time. Like, I didn't even know much about that in particular. So, yeah. So, my basketball coach was the third person that I, had an encounter with. So, y'all having this outlook on me as if, oh, I was just fast and I was just doing this and this and that. No, that wasn't the case, because if it was up to me, I wouldn't have lost my virginity, period. Like, and I don't like how y'all steady trying to make it okay. And I did that for so many years. Even when I told my mom, I was like 25 when I finally told my mom, and she was furious. And I get it, but I was still psychologically like, no, I wanted to do it. Even if I wanted to do it, and this is for you bird brain, you know what? I said I wouldn't even go back and forth. So I'm going to just address this and keep it pushing. Even if I wanted to do it, I was 16 years old. There's a thing called statutory rape. So just because I consent, I was still underage. So I could say all day long, oh, I was mature for my age. And I knew what was going on. I never said that I didn't know what was going on. And it's a lot of y'all in the comments like, oh, you were going. You knew what you were doing. I never said I didn't. Like, let's just make that clear. Even if, like I said, if I wanted to, it doesn't change the fact that there was a grown man in an authority role, my basketball coach, who took me to his house, gave me a drink. No, I don't drink. Obviously, I'm 16. Like, I don't know what other 16-year-olds doing. There were so many kids doing so much that was way more advanced than I was, even with all my trauma and everything. But you gave me a drink, and you did what you did, and we, whatever the case may be. And it wasn't just an awesome experience. It hurt, and I bled, and it was very traumatizing. It was very traumatizing for me. A lot of the questions y'all kept asking, like, did everything go back to normal after that? Yeah. Like, again, I tried to pretend that it didn't happen. I avoided him at all points. I don't know, like, it just felt weird. It just felt weird. We had like a few more games left in the season. I played, just pretend everything was, normal, went to practice, whatever. It wasn't like super awkward because I think it was just like a mutual understanding. Like, I didn't want to do that. Like I said, it was very traumatizing. After the fact, it felt wrong. I knew it was wrong. I knew I shouldn't have been doing it. But at the end of the day, it's like, it happened. I said I would go to his place, whatever, it happened. But yeah, we just both tried to pretend like it didn't happen, pretty much. So that's for everybody who keeps asking, like, so did you continue to play for him? I did continue to play. I finished out the season. I graduated. We never. And for everybody who says I be all over the place in my story times, I have ADHD, and sometimes it's hard for me to like focus on one thing at a time. So I do seem like I'm all over the place. So I do apologize for that. But yeah. If you can't lock in, don't lock in. I'm using my platform to speak my truth. At first, it wasn't like I was trying to out him. I didn't really even expect my video to blow up like this. But there's people who already know who he is or whatever. I went ahead and posted his picture in the comments. And at this point, his name is Diedrich Bogard. Coach Bogard. Period. There was a story about a coach at what is it called? Hold on. So somebody had messaged me, and I'm not going to disclose any names because there was quite a few people that messaged me knowing who he was, because it was a school, what is it called? Moss Point High School in Mississippi. So there was a coach there who was sleeping with the girls or whatever, got caught, got 25 years in prison for that, and they were friends. Crazy work. There was multiple girls messaging me how he, was being inappropriate with them and was at this last school. So it's like he left one school to come to another school to be a predator still. So it makes me even more upset that I wish I would have said something back then, but I was literally going through my own trauma with the stuff that happened with my dad, with him doing what he did to me. I was experiencing so much at this time. I wasn't in my right mind at the end of the day. I was a 16-year-old girl fighting demons, literally. Like, so much going on. At the end of the day, it's like, I'm going to continue to speak my truth. I don't care about being judged. I'm almost 30. Like, I'm not about to get in the comments with y'all, go back and forth with y'all, because I didn't want to do that in the first place. I'm using my platform to spread awareness, to speak my truth. And that's just what it is. This year, I told myself, like, I wasn't holding back anymore. I'm done protecting pedophiles. I'm done protecting predators. And I'm just over it. Like, I've been preyed upon my whole life. And I'm just fucking over it at the end of the day. So y'all can get in the comments. Y'all can have y'all's opinions. But it's not going to faze me, and it's not going to stop me from speaking my truth. And, helping other girls, like, be aware. There's girls that's in my DMs right now going through what I went through, scared to speak out because of these roles that these men are playing in their lives, and it's sickening. Like, it's really sickening. So, I'm looking, it's so many comments, for starters. Sorry, y'all, I'm sick. So many comments, and I'm going to just address a couple of them. The relationship with my mom is better. We talked about it. She was upset. She wanted me to report him. I was still in a protective state, I guess. So I I was telling her I wanted to do it. He didn't like take me in and like my dad did. Whatever. It's just, it's so many freaking comments, and it's so many people like, at 16 though, I mean, you were not a baby, 2 years away from being a legal adult. How did you know right from wrong? It's stuff like that. It's like 3 bodies by 16 is crazy. Y'all not even keeping up what I'm putting out, literally. Like, and it's just so many people judge me in the comments, which I really don't care. But it's like, I pray that y'all never have daughters. I pray that y'all never have sons, because women aren't the only ones who get preyed upon. So yeah, like I said, I posted him in the comments. I gave y'all his name. Everybody wanted me to like, it's whatever. Like I said, I'm done protecting. I'm done protecting people. I'm over it. It's out. Nothing I can do about that. So yeah, it's a lot of victim blaming in these comments. And I find it quite disturbing and quite hilarious also, because who raised y'all? And what makes y'all think that a 16-year-old boy or girl having sexual interactions with each other, sexual relations, is okay with a 30-something-year-old man or woman? Like, help me understand that. What's y'all's logic behind this? I'm a 16-year-old girl, or I was a 16-year-old girl in high school. Freshly 16. Freshly. And y'all are really sticking beside this man and blaming me. Like, it's diabolical. Here I am again. It's diabolical. Another video. I don't know what else to say.
This is how my homie found out his younger brother was cracking his fiance. So my homie was with his girl for like 3 years, and he's like, bro, I'm finna pop the question. I was like, congratulations, finally somebody getting married, because I couldn't be me. And he was like, but I want to test her loyalty. And I'm like, what do you mean test her loyalty? Like, he was like, bro, I just want to make sure before I give her the ring that like she's the one. And I'm like, okay, it's been 3 years. Who am I to tell you how to be in a relationship? Clearly it's not working out for me, so let me shut the fuck up. So I'm like, all right, what you want to do? He's like, I want to bring her around the homies and see how she operate when I'm not around. And for context, he's had me around her by like, just like me and her or whatever, but it's never been like her, me, and the other homies type shit. And he was like, basically, I want to see if she gonna fuck like the dudes who would be my groomsmen. I'm like, so you just think it's what, open central once you leave the room? Like, give her a little bit of credit. And so long story short, we all go to a function or whatever, and he like, yo, I got a late work call, I'll go late, can you just like pick my girl up? I'm like, cool. I pick her up, it's me, her, and 3 of the homies in the back. We chilling, hi, he and like, bro, whenever I'm around the homies' girlfriends, like, these the homegirls, like, what the fuck do I look like trying to fuck on your girlfriend? That's fucking weird. And so we hi, he and or whatever, and everybody cool, and he like, yo, my little brother want to slide, can you like pick him up too? I'm like, he gonna have to sit in the trunk, ain't no space. He like, okay. So he, for context, my homie is like 6 feet, buck 75, soaking wet. His brother's like 6'1", 215, just like, you know what I'm saying? So a little different. We pick up his brother, whatever. His brother and the girlfriend ain't never met, because the brother was upstate for a little minute, you know what I'm saying? So they meet, it's, oh, okay, cool, haha, he, whatever. And so, you know, we get to the function. I'm not chaperoning her all night. That's not my responsibility. She is grown. She could do what she do. I'll check in accordingly. But I'm not gonna be glued to your fucking hip, bro. Like, that's not my job. And so I'm moving through the function, doing my thing. The homies, they doing their things. We popping up, saying what's up at certain points. G Herbo's rolling pops up. So that's when we all come together and, you know, start hitting if you know, you know. And so at one point, I go do my little routine check-in on his girl to see like who she around, what's doing, and she cool at the same time. And I see the brother buy her a drink, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, he just buying his sister-in-law a drink. I'm not thinking nothing of it. And like 15, 20 minutes go by, bro, and I see her put her hand on his shoulder. I'm like, okay, all right. Ain't never put your hand on my shoulder like that, or any other homie shoulders. But you know what? Maybe you just being very friendly, because that's your man's brother. You know what I'm saying? I go on, keep doing my thing. Probably like another 30 minutes go by. I don't know how long this nigga's work call is, but we've been at the function for about an hour at this point. I'm doing my thing, haha, he and dancing with a couple people and whatnot. You know, me and the bros tapping in with each other. And like about like hour, like 45 minutes into it, I'm looking over. The brother and the girlfriend is dancing. And I'm like, all right, Okay. All right. I don't see no hands. I don't see hands where they not supposed to be. So I'm chilling. You know what I'm saying? But I'm peeping. I'm gonna put that in a little file cabinet. You know what I'm saying? And so again, I'm like, you know what? If I look over there again and something seems off, I'm gonna say something, or I'm gonna like, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm peeping, but I don't want to overreact. Maybe I'm just tweaking. You know what I'm saying? So give it like another 30 minutes, whatever, me and this one girl dancing. And then so I'll kind of like guide her so we can kind of dance in my eye line of them type shit. You know what I'm saying? And as me and her dancing, whatever, I'm like giving her like 80% of my attention, but 20% of my attention going over her shoulders to see what my man's girl and his brother is doing. And out of nowhere, bro, they start playing Juveniles. Back that ass up. And I don't know what you know about the song, but the title says it all. This is how my homie found out his younger brother was cracking his fiance. For everybody who wants to know what happened to the girlfriend, let's just say the cavalry was called to handle that. I'm gonna tell y'all what happened. First off, bro, getting out this club was annoying as fuck because my friends love them to death, but they annoying as fuck. When Shorty came and got us, she was like, yo, go down this staircase because security finna come up that staircase. I'm like, all right, bet. As I'm at the top of the staircase, I see the three homies that I came here with. It's my man T, it's my man Jalen, and it's my man Omari. I see all three of them, and I'm like, okay, bet. We running out. Shorty at the door. She pointing up. As she pointing up, I look up. Security is running up the stairs, being led by the girlfriend. And I'm like, you low down, dirty, scandalous motherfucker. You got the audacity to lead the cavalry to come save this nigga that you just met? Ooh, okay, word. So we get out the club after I gather the homies. As we leaving the club, I'm like, I get Shorty number. I'm like, yo, appreciate everything tonight. Had a good time with you. Hope I can see you again. She's like, yeah, obviously I fuck with you. That's why I did all this. Plus, I need to know what happens. I said, I got you. Don't trip. Got her number. Gave her a kiss on the cheek, got up out of there. We ended up kicking it for like the end of the summer going into the fall because she was just here visiting type shit, but she cool as hell. Shout out to her. I can't say her name because she got a good job and she said if the story blow up, it's gonna be too messy, but you know who you are, so shout out to you. Me and the homies get out the club. My three homies, they take my man's car and meet us back at his crib. Me and my man's gets to the crib after a 15-minute long ass uncomfortable drive. We get upstairs, I'm like, hey gang, like, do you need anything? He's like, honestly bro, I'm tired, like I just want to lay down and try to forget about this shit. I said, I feel you bro. Do you need us to do anything? He was like, honestly bro, whatever you think is best for me to move out of this situation, you do what you gotta do. Okay, cool. Now what he said was, I trust y'all, do what y'all think is best. What I heard was, I'm finna go to sleep. When I wake up, I don't want to see shit that belong to this bitch because they live together, you know what I'm saying? So I said, I got you. He go to his room, he go lay down. I walk to the front room. The homie's already sitting at the motherfucking four-top table, looking at me. Chair pulled up, because Omari got a key, he let everybody in and shit. They looking at me like, debrief. I pull my chair up, sit my ass down, get their ass to 25-minute rundown. Everybody is looking at me like this. And so I'm just like, questions, comments, and concerns. First person to say something is my homie T. He raises his hand. I'm like, yes, T. He says, so just to be clear, niggas is giving swirlies now? I believe so, T. Okay. I asked him, I'm like, you got a question? And he's like, I just want to know what we finna do. And I'm like, well, he said whatever we think is best, we should do. And Omari look at me like, he said that? So I'm like, I think we gotta grab all her shit and get this shit out tonight. Like, we can't go home until her shit is out this bitch. They're like, all right, bet. The homie T, he working construction, so he look up and he like, hey gang, I got like 50 like contractor bags in the car. We can get to it right now. Nigga, say less. He go downstairs, get the bags, boy. We get the doing anything that looked like it was touched by her, that belonged to her, that resembled her motherfucking energy or whatever the fuck. Bro, that shit was in a goddamn contractor bag. Mascara, bag. Eyelash curler, bag. A fuzzy sock, bag, nigga. Everything was in the bag. As we bagging shit up, I get to thinking, I'm like, damn. She live here, which means she could come back here at any point, which means we need to change them locks. I start calling different locksmith that I just find locksmith 24/7 near me. I'm calling. One pick up. He like, yeah, I could do it for a rack. Nigga, excuse me, a rack? A rack? Motherfucker hit me with the take it or leave it. Okay, bitch. Leave it. I call like 5 other people. I eventually get this one dude. He's like, I could pull up for 200. Oh, 200? Nigga, say less. He pull up. He looked like Lester from GTA. I came through. He did his thing. Knocked that shit out. Boom, boom, boom. Gave us 2 sets of keys. Told us, fuck off. Have a good day. Cool. Appreciate you, gang. At this point, yo, we got to my man's house at like midnight. It's probably like 4 or 5 o'clock at this point. We've been going crazy getting all this shit together, bro. We like, all right, bet. Go to sleep. Bro, I wake up about 4 hours later, 8 o'clock. I smell somebody cooking on. What the hell? So I wake up. This man Chef Boyardee in it up. He in that bitch frying and shit. I'm like, damn, gang. Mother got biscuits, sausage, eggs, pancakes. I'm like, what type of Twilight Zone shit is this? You Mrs. Doubtfire today, boy. You was just a goddamn demon last night. But you know what? Healing isn't linear, my heart. Let me shut the fuck up. So I look at him like, hey, gang, like, how long you been up? He's like, oh yeah, bro, I've been up for like 2 hours. Okay. I was like, is this all you've done in the last 2 hours? He's like, oh no. I was like, what have you been doing? He's like, oh, no, I just made a few calls. I'm like, okay. Who the fuck did you call? He's like, oh, I called her mama. Oh, and I emailed her boss. I just want to fuck up her life. Okay. What else did you do? I feel him holding back like the most severe thing that he did. So I say to him again, gang, what else did you do? He was like, oh yeah, I asked T to go get some of those big barrels for me too. Big barrels? Like the first 48 barrels? He was like, no, not like that, but like the barrel, like the oil drums. And I was like, you trying to make something go boom? He was like, no, I'm just gonna get all her clothes, all the stuff y'all bagged up. I'm gonna put the bags in there, and I'm gonna put the da in there and make it go boom boom. I'm like, okay. What else did you do though? Cause nigga, I know it's something you're not telling me. What else did you do? Did you call anybody else? Did you send any more emails? Is there anybody popping up that I should be aware of? Because I feel it's something in the air that this nigga ain't telling me. He was like, oh yeah, by the way, I called Ashley. Ashley is his little cousin. Somebody who I do not want smoke with because I almost got one time fucking with Ashley. If my 6'3" ass is shooketh by this 5'2" woman, hell have no fear. Because if he says he's calling Ashley, it ain't no talking with Ashley. It's smile in your face and fist in your mouth. So I'm like, when is she gonna be here? He was like, oh yeah, bro, I don't know, but she said she's gonna be here. Ashley's also notoriously late. He get a phone call. I look down immediately. It's his mama. I'm like, oh shit. She like, hey baby, is mom with you? He like, yeah. She like, pass him the phone. He put it on speaker. She, hey ma. Hey Miss Robinson, how you doing? Well, all right, let's cut the shit. Is everything my baby boy said true? I said, yeah. She said, oh. Disappointed but not surprised. I said, disappointed at what, just to be clear? She said, he spent all that time going in and out, and he still can't fight? Like, I thought he would have been fighting for trades, fighting for his butt. Like, you telling me he ain't getting not a single punch in? I'm like, nah, he hit him in the back of the head. She was like, that's even worse. Okay, it's settled. He was finna stay here, but now he finna go stay with his bum ass daddy. You get off the phone ring again. It's T. T like, yo, meet me at the bridge. I said, bet. We get there, my man's got 10 of them bitches in a circle, ready. So we all got the clothes. As we dumping the clothes, my man's going around like a goddamn kid on goddamn Christmas Eve, just skipping and lolly-da, just dumping all the goddamn liquid to make this shit go boom. I see this man like just standing over and he cracked like a little smile. And I'm like, I think this is how villains are made. He get a phone call and he like, all right, yo, we finna go. Ashley at the crib. And I'm like, lovely. We get up in there. Ashley, his cousin, is sitting on top of the kitchen counter. Let me tell you what Ashley is wearing. I want you to understand how ready to go Ashley is. Ashley is wearing an Essentials oversized hoodie, some Lululemon leggings, and some motherfucking Nike Air Maxes, with her hair tied up in a bandana. Now, for all my women watching this, I know you know what the fuck she was ready to do. I see Ashley. She looking at me. She like, hey, ma. Hi, Ashley. We all in there talking. And at that point, I'm like, shit, we hungry again. So I'm like, hey, bro, you got some more food? He like, I could order some takeout. But as he finna order some takeout, we hear some in the door. I'm like, is that a key I hear? I'm like, oh. I look at my mans. He look at me. I look at Ashley. She is smiling at me. I don't know if y'all ever seen like a Cheshire cat, like ear to ear smiling at me, gang. I'm like, Merry Christmas to somebody in this bitch. All I know is I'm not stopping shit, bro. I've done my due diligence for the year, nigga. I'm not stopping shit. She hops off the countertop, walks to the door, opens the door, and before she could speak, all you hear is, oh, Ashley, I didn't know you was in town. Ashley simply says, hey, heard you been busy. Old girl says, huh? And when she said, huh, Ashley got insulted and her whole tone changed. She said, bitch, if you could, huh, you could hear. Old girl looks at Ashley and gets to taking flight. And Ashley just stands there and turns around and looks to my mans. And I don't know who my mans was feeling like, bro. I don't know if he was watching The Karate Kid when they told him to go break bro leg or whatever. But he gave her that look like, yeah, go handle that. Bro, old girl at this point was running down the stairs. It's a 4th floor walk up. She running down the stairs. Again, Ashley was wearing an Essentials hoodie, Lululemon joggers and Nike motherfucking Air Max. And I kid you not, Ashley used to run track. I don't know why all the crazy fine girls used to run track, but Ashley used to run track. What does that mean? She was hawking her ass down. Talking about full-blown Sha'Carri Richardson. Bitch, you ain't going nowhere. And I'm like, damn, I'm looking at my mans. I'm like, should we go? He like, yeah. We running down the stairs. All we hear Ashley being like, don't run. You making it hard on yourself. We get to the bottom of the stairs. We hear a thump. Ashley got Shorty pinned against the front door. So I'm like, damn, this family just love slapping motherfuckers. Okay. Shorty take off running again. If you've ever seen the Boondocks, you know we could do this the easy way or could we do this the hard way. The choice is yours. She said that as she's chasing her down the street as Shorty trying to get to her car. Shorty get to her car. The brother is in the car. He was looking sad. You ever seen anybody after they get their ass whooped the next day? It's sad. It's just, and he light skinned too. So it was just, ugh. It was black and blue and purple and ass and shitty juice. And when he see all of us plus his brother, boy, you would have thought he saw a ghost. He was in that bitch. He got to slide down and then he saw Ashley chasing after his girl. So he was really like, because Ashley don't give a fuck. Her hands are ready to eat for everybody. She 5'2", but if you 6'6", she will climb you like a tree and poke your ass out. She does not give a fuck. The old girl looking at him like, yo, open up the motherfucking door. Like we finna go. He start the car. He open up the door for Shorty. She get in that bitch. Ashley jumps on top of the car and she like, where the fuck you think you going? Where the fuck you think you going? She gets the stumping on Shorty's hood, jumping up and down to my, where the fuck you think you going? Where the fuck you think you going? I'm like, then she squats down looking dead into the windshield. Old girl is like, Ashley, like, let me go. She's like, the car started, you can go. I need you to get off my car. She said, oh, if you want me to get off this car, you're gonna have to do something about it. At that point, my man just asked old girl to roll down the window. He like, I just want to know why. She said, you just haven't made me feel seen recently. Like, ever since I moved in the last 6 months, it just feels like we haven't been connecting. And he like, this is the first I'm hearing about it. She says to him, I didn't know how to bring it up. So you chose to fuck his brother because you didn't know how to have a conversation about y'all not connecting? When I heard that shit, I wanted to throw a brick at her car. I ain't even gonna hold you, gang, because that shit pissed me off. I looked at Ashley like, bro, whatever you gonna do is what you gonna do. Ashley jumps off the car, and again, shout out to my mans. He was like, but my brother made you feel seen. She said, yeah. He stepped to the side. Ashley came around with one of these. She said, ah! Hit her ass clean in the fucking eye, gang, and said, well, bitch, now you can't see. Stepped to the side, Shorty pulled off. And yeah, after that, bro, he took the ring back, got his motherfucking money back, and he took like a 2-month sabbatical from his job, and that nigga just started traveling the world and started being on demon time. The brother moved in with his deadbeat ass dad. We ain't talked to that nigga in months. My boy's living his best life. When Thanksgiving rolled around, he was traveling. When Christmas rolled around, he was traveling. Shit, he might be traveling in a city near you. I don't fucking know. I don't talk to his ass half the time because he's always fucking traveling. Old girl might be living with her mama because I don't know if she still has a job because, again, he sent a very strongly worded email to her fucking boss. And yeah, me and the homies are just still high and hee and they're making questionable decisions. So yeah, more stories coming your way, gang.
First of all, the betrayal here is insane. We're not talking about some random guy at the bar. This is his brother. The narrator drops hints about the height difference and the upstate history, so you already know there was weird energy brewing. But for the brother to snake his own flesh and blood over a girl he just met, that's bottom of the barrel behavior. And he didn't even fight back when the cavalry rolled up, just sat there in the car looking pathetic. Now let's talk about the boyfriend. This man played the long game. Most people would have blown up at the club the second they saw the dancing or the security guard situation, but not him. He went home, went to sleep, woke up, cooked a full breakfast like he was auditioning for a cooking show, and then executed the most diabolical revenge plan I've ever heard. Calling the mom? Petty. Calling the cousin Ashley? Dangerous. Emailing her boss? That's scorched earth policy. He didn't just want to break up. He wanted to dismantle her entire existence. The narrator is the friend everyone needs, but also the one you have to watch out for. He clocked the hand on the shoulder, clocked the dancing, and executed the move-out operation with military precision. The fact that he called a locksmith and haggled the price down while his boy was asleep, that's true dedication. But the real MVP? Ashley. Every family has an Ashley. The description of her outfit, Essentials hoodie, Lululemon leggings, Air Maxes, and a bandana was chef's kiss. You know exactly what time it is when someone pulls up dressed like that. She didn't even have to say much. Her presence alone had the girlfriend running laps around the apartment complex. My verdict? Everyone in this story is chaotic, but the brother is the worst one. You don't do that to family. The boyfriend's revenge was cold-blooded, but honestly, after 3 years and a ring on the way, I get it.
Who the fuck is my mother?
I watched that 8-part story, so you don't have to. That's Camille, and she was letting us know the circumstances surrounding her brother's suicide. Camille starts off by letting us know about her upbringing and what it was like growing up in her household. Now, she does let us know that her mom was a single parent the majority of her life, and she didn't really have any of the fathers of the children that she was having living in the house with them. And the times that she did date the fathers of her children. For example, she did date Camille's father for a little bit, and things were really violent. He ended up breaking into the house and trying to choke the mother in her sleep, and so they basically at that point moved. Camille tells us that she noticed her mother's behavior at a very young age and was kind of wondering if there was something wrong with her mom or if something was kind of off. But because she was so young, she just chose to accept her mother's behavior. After they moved away, the mother ended up marrying a man. The man also had kids, and they were about the same age as Camille and her siblings. At that time, it was just Camille, her sister Jordan, and her brother Tyler. And so they became a blended family. It only lasted about a year before things kind of got violent in that situation as well. And then the mother decided to move the kids back to where they had just came from. Shortly after that, her mother met someone at work, and she ended up getting pregnant with the twins. At this time, Camille was about 14 years old, and she was noticing her mother's erratic behavior while being pregnant. She would do things like get into public fights. Like one time she got into a fight over a parking spot, and her mother literally took a chair, put it outside, and waited for the person to come back that was parked in her unmarked parking spot and got into a fight with them. Through this entire time, a mother is treating the children horribly. Camille describes it as abuse, neglect, and emotional abuse. The way that the mother treated the children only got worse when she moved in the father of the twins. Camille and her siblings had no idea that their mother was pregnant with the twins. It was actually the father that let them know that, and when the mother found out that her baby daddy told the kids that she was pregnant with twins, she accused the sisters of sleeping with her baby daddy, and at the time, Camille was in middle school. As the mother's behavior worsened, she was doing things like yelling, screaming, hitting them, taking away their possessions like their bed, their clothes, their shoes, their phone, really anything. Once the father of the twins moved in, things got worse between the mother and him as well. They would get into constant fights. The police ended up getting called. The mother accused the baby daddy of beating her, and Camille's like, I never witnessed it, but that's what she told the cops. And then once the twins were born, at the time, her mother was a overnight nurse. Her brother, her sister, and her would be tasked with taking care of the twins all through the night. And then when the mother would come home, she would go to sleep, and the siblings would still be tasked with taking care of the twins. Camille said that her mother would create reasons to be upset with the children, and she would say, you're not listening to me, you're not obeying me, and you would be guilty even if you weren't really actually guilty. Once Camille said she saw her mother beat her sister, she grabbed her, she threw her to the floor, she jumped on top of her and repeatedly hit her. And Camille was distraught. She's holding her baby sister, she's crying, she's yelling, and all of that was because the sister, whose name is Jordan, decided to go to Walgreens without telling the mother. The mother at that point proceeds to kick Jordan out in the middle of the winter with no shoes on in the snow. Jordan had to walk to the closest Walgreens and try to contact anybody that was going to be able to come and get her. Eventually, their grandparents, who was the mother's parents, came and picked up Jordan. The mother took it a step further. She ended up calling Jordan's job, pretending to be her. She took away her car, she took away her phone, and eventually Jordan just had to quit her job. Camille said the police even got involved, and they basically forced Jordan to go back home, but then Jordan basically told them about why she was kicked out. She showed her injuries, and she told them the story, and basically because of the laws in their state that they live in, Jordan was able to choose to stay with her grandparents, and she did so, and that's when her mother cut her off along with her own parents. And so that left Camille and her brother Tyler to watch the twins. Camille says that her mother did not allow her to have any relationships with teachers, friends, really anybody that she didn't approve of. About a year or two after her sister got kicked out, they ended up moving into a new house, and up until the point that Camille turned 18 years old, her mother was beating her, hitting her with belts. She said she made a point to always make sure she busted her front lip as well. At this point, the twins are about 3 or 4 years old, and it's just her, the twins, her brother Tyler, and her mother living in the new house. And she said that she was actually finishing up school a semester early and was able to graduate and work full time, but her mother made it so physically and emotionally impossible to do that. At every turn, her mother was there to make her life just absolutely hell. And she said that she was even isolating her from her own siblings. Even though they lived in the same house, she would tell Tyler and the twins not to talk to Camille. Camille and her siblings also did not have much privacy. Her mother would go through her phone very sporadically. She never knew when she was going to do it. She would go through her messages, her photos. And when Camille tried to express to her mother that she didn't have the amount of privacy she would like, her mother told her that she's her mom and she can do whatever she wants. Then the mother proceeds to start ignoring Camille as well. She kicks her out of the house, and then she takes her phone and she brings a hammer back out, and she tells Camille to smash her own phone with a hammer, or she was going to hit her with the hammer herself. So then when Camille ended up showing up to school with no supplies, her laptop, her nothing was with her, CPS ended up being called. But because the phone was under Camille's mother's name, there was nothing that could be done. She said she has every right to smash up the phone, or make you smash up the phone. After a little bit, her brother did end up coming up to her at school because, again, she has no phone, and told her, hey, mom said you can come back home. So she did end up returning. And when it came to like family members and people in her life, like uncles and aunties, knowing about the abuse that was going on, they did know and they would want to intervene, but they knew if they intervened, that would only lead to the mother cutting them off and cutting off connection. So then there's nothing they could do. They basically enabled the mother just to keep connection. Camille lets us know that her brother was also affected by his mother's abuse, and that he actually decided to like hit the gym and get bigger so that he would be able to resist his mother's physical abuse and also protect his sisters from it as well. As Camille's graduation was approaching, she knew that her mother was going to make it hard for her to leave, to try to flourish in any type of way. She was also feeling guilty, like she didn't want to leave Tyler alone to take care of the twins, but she also knew that there was a chance that Tyler was going to be able to study abroad and go to Germany. And so she was really hoping that that was going to work out for him. The final straw for Camille and what made her end up leaving was one day her mother comes up to her and she's like, you need to clean on your hands and knees or else you have to leave. And so she's cleaning, and because she didn't use the specific rag that her mother wanted her to use on the baseboards, her mother ends up dragging her by the hair, taking her upstairs and pushing her down and saying, because you don't care about my things, I don't care about your things. And she started smashing up everything in Camille's room. She poured soda all over her bed. There was glass all over the floor. And at this point, she was like, you know what? I'm going to leave in the middle of the night. So Camille gets out. She finds out her brother is going to be going to Germany. This was going to be the first time that the mother had to take care of the twins on her own. In retaliation, the mother tries to take away the car that she gifted Camille. When she actually initially gave it to Camille, she wrote her this whole letter and told her that I will never take this car away from you, only to do that. The day before Camille's graduation, she was at rehearsal, and her mother arrived there with police and basically said, arrest her unless she gives me the keys back. This caused Camille to have to quit her job and have to look for a new one, and out of manipulation, her mother ended up breaking no contact with her sister Jordan and reaching out to her only really because she needed someone to take care of the twins. There's a lot of reasons why Camille is coming forward with this story. The biggest reason is because her mother's behavior is not going to stop. Her brother committed suicide. She's also attempted. Her sister has also attempted in the past. Camille was even hospitalized because of this. And so she wants some type of authority intervention, something where the twins get taken away from the mother. At the end of the day, Camille's trying to stop the twins from having to experience the same type of abuse that her and her siblings had to go through. Once Camille moved out, her mother did not reach out until she found out that Camille was hospitalized with a stomach ulcer because of all the stress that she was having from not being able to see her siblings. And ultimately, her mother only asked if she could babysit the twins while her brother was gone in Germany. Because of her lack of no history, Camille had a really hard time finding a house, but she finally did, and obviously it was beyond her budget. She was working full-time and still not being able to pay for her car insurance, and again, because of lack of history, she had a really high car payment, and then on top of paying for everything, she just wasn't managing, even though she was working full-time, and she was still helping to watch the twins. At this point, she's thinking, maybe I should just move back home since I'm always there anyway. Tyler's going to be home from Germany as well, so he can help diffuse any of the abuse that might end up happening. Camille also felt like she had matured. She had gone to therapy. She was like, maybe I was just like a angst teenager and I was like leading and causing a lot of these issues myself. Maybe it was me kind of thing, and I think I've grown. I can handle living with my mother. You know, she's really trying to wrap rationalize going back home, especially because she was having such financial troubles living on her own. Camilla also tells us that she had been in therapy for quite some time actually, and even at some points when she was younger, her mother would put her ear up to the door while she was in therapy and would eavesdrop on the sessions. She ends up talking to her mother, and they end up coming to an agreement that Camille would pay like a really low rent amount and be able to, move back home. And also Camille would still be maintaining some sort of financial independence because she paid for her own car, she paid for her phone, so her mother wouldn't be able to take those things away from her. The moment Camille moved back in and put all her stuff back into the house, she immediately realized her mother had not changed. The abusive behavior just started right back up. Her mother would fly into rages where she would hit her and drag her places, and she was treating her siblings the same exact way as well. Her mother gave her a 6 p.m. curfew, and so she would work all day and have to go right back home. The mother would cook dinner, and she would not give any to Camille. She also was isolating her from her siblings again, not allowing her to talk to them. Camille was basically not allowed to eat in the house. She would have to eat while she was gone. So at this time, Tyler and Camille were taking turns taking care of the twins and falling asleep with them downstairs. And so this day particularly, it was Camille's turn to sleep upstairs in her bed, and so she was. Her mother comes home from work, and she immediately runs into Camille's room, and she starts yelling at her, saying like, "It smells like weed. I know you've been smoking in here. You need to leave my house today. You need to get out of here." And so Camille's like, "What?" She's like barely waking up, and her mom's like, "Come downstairs right now." And at this point, the twins are up, Tyler's up, they're hearing all of this commotion. Camille's thinking, okay, I'm just gonna go downstairs, she's gonna beat me, everything's gonna be fine. She goes down there, and her mother immediately grabs her by the shirt and she throws her outside. She has no shoes on, no socks. She ends up sitting outside at 7 o'clock in the morning for an hour, and then remembers that her car's unlocked, and she goes inside of her car. All of a sudden her mom comes out with her phone, and then she throws it at her car windshield. The next few months after that, effectively, Camille was homeless. She had no stable housing. One of her friends was kind enough to open up her house and stay with her, but she knew that if at any point her friend's parents decided, hey, I don't want this girl in my house anymore, she would go back to being homeless. Camille also had a spare tire on her car, and so she was also trying to take a trip to Houston to go see her cousin, because her cousin's parents, which is her uncle and auntie, knew the most about the situation and were going to be able to give her as much advice as they could. And so she was like, I need to drive out there and talk to them. And so she ends up telling her brother about it. Mind you, they're sneak communicating with each other, right? And Tyler's like, I don't want you to pay the service fee for it. I'll come and, meet with you, and I'll do your tire change for you. And so she's like, okay, cool. But somehow the mom found out about it, and she ended up texting Camille and saying, hey, I provided you with your brother, and you can't have anything that I've provided. And so you're no longer allowed to talk to your brother. You're no longer allowed to get any help from him either. And she told Tyler the exact same thing as well. Camille mentions that her mother really did not care about her and her siblings. She never showed up to any of their graduations. And one time, Camille's mother even told her, if you're unhappy, you should just commit suicide. So she's like, how could you be my mother and love me if this is like the things you say to me? And she says that she's used a similar violent language towards her siblings in the past as well. A lot of people were asking where had Jordan been this entire time since she had been kicked out, and she said that for the most part, they did not have any communication. If Camille and Tyler wanted a place to sleep, somewhere to eat, and clothes on their back, they had to follow their mother's rule. And even when Camille was homeless for a good amount of time, she was scared to reach out to her sister because she always wanted the possibility to be able to reconnect with the twins. And she knew if she reached out to Jordan, that possibility could be shattered. Camille tells us a few more stories, like how one time her brother got kicked out. She doesn't even remember what the reason was. It was so small. And she tried to write down one of the mother's ex-boyfriends so that he had someone to potentially contact. And somehow the mother saw the piece of paper that, she had written the number down on, and she went and grabbed it and took it away from him, and then proceeded to kick out Camille as well. And they were standing out in the rain until they realized again that the door to the car was unlocked, and they went inside and sat there. They eventually reached out to one of the stepfathers, and then they were able to get picked up by their grandparents. Her and her brother were really scared. They absolutely did not want to return back to their mother's house, but when they spoke to the police told them that they both actually had to return. One thing that Camille had noticed, that her and her siblings actually didn't have a lot of emotional sensitivity. Like, it took a lot for them to cry because they knew that their mother fed off of their tears and really enjoyed seeing them sad and in pain. And so it wasn't until, Camille went to go live with her sister that she realized, like, oh, I have a problem crying. Camille details how not everything was bad growing up. She remembers a trip when they went to the continent of Africa and they had a really good time out there. And so it was those good times that actually convoluted her mind and made it hard for her to just cut off her mother. But at the same time, she also knew that Tyler was was her mother's favorite because he was the boy. Her mother would always say, oh, I always wanted a son. But then when the twins came along, she almost like discarded Tyler. She didn't care about him as much. Tyler also had plans to move out too. He wanted to get out of there, and I guess because he knew that his mother would take away everything, his phone, his car, he knew that he would have to get a good amount of money, that he would be starting from square one. Camille believes that one of the things that his mother did was get him a really expensive truck with a really high payment to almost lock him in and make it impossible for him to earn money. I mean, the payment was so high he wasn't even able to get insurance. Camille feels that the mother was trying to convince him not to go back to Germany because he had such a wonderful time and he really liked the host family that he was living with. With Camille not having stable housing, she got really sick to the point that she had some type of like infection in her lungs, and it was long lasting, and she was just getting sicker and sicker. And then her mother did not help by kicking her off the insurance, and even when Camille was finally able to get health insurance, it took a while for it to kick in. Eventually, at this point, because she was so sick and really had no other option, despite how fearful she was of contacting her sister, Camille decided to contact Jordan. Jordan responded to her that exact same day. She showed her so much kindness and so much love. She let her come and stay with her. And this is when Camille kind of notes how she really loves how her siblings all had still kind hearts. They still were working hard. They wanted to be successful. They wanted good things out of their life, despite all of the harsh treatment and abuse they had received over the years from someone that's supposed to love and protect them. Now that the sisters were together, they were planning how can they address what's going on, this behavior that the mother is exhibiting, because they also can tell that Tyler is starting to really get the brunt of everything, especially now that he's isolated and he's stuck with the twins. Like, they could tell like they needed to act fast. At the same time, the mother was working overtime to brainwash Tyler and tell them that, you know, that they were lying to him, that they didn't love him. Throughout this entire series, Camille really wants to emphasize how harsh and how horrible emotional abuse is, and that if you and your siblings feel like something like that is happening in your, you know, life, you should speak up about it. You should talk to your siblings about it. They're going to understand it more than anybody else, and you should also always trust your gut. At this point, Tyler was sneaking out any opportunity that he could to talk, to call, to come over to the sister's place, to be able to talk to them. And they always shared location, so even when Camille didn't have stable housing, her brother could always see where she was. This also made them feel like they were closer. They also knew that there was definitely tension between the mother and her brother, and they were really trying to know what was going on, but Tyler was also not really trying to tell his sisters everything because he didn't want them to feel bad for leaving. Jordan is a photographer, and she had a job to go to the twins' school and take pictures of them, and when she saw her younger brother, she immediately knew that something was wrong. One thing to note too is that Tyler had showed his sisters his journals and what they look like and what was inside of them, and he had shared with them separately different things that he has written in his journal over the years, so they knew what it looked like. Tyler would express that he felt isolated from everyone, that the only people that were constant in his life was his classmates, and class was really, you know, hard on him because he didn't have the amount of time that he actually needed to be able to study and do well because he was busy with the twins. Camille tells us that Tyler was very talented and very smart. He was into engineering. His ultimate goal was to work for NASA. He was in gifted classes, but she feels like the isolation was really getting to him, especially not being able to talk to his siblings. And so this is when she tells us about the night that Tyler committed suicide, and she says that that night she was asleep and she received a series of phone calls and text messages from her brother. She woke up and she immediately checked his location, and she just started driving right to where he was. And then she ended up reaching out to her sister Jordan and being like, hey, have you talked to Tyler today? And she said that she hadn't, that she was already headed towards Tyler's location as well. That night, Camille had spent the night at a friend's house, and so she was a little bit further. Her sister Jordan ended up arriving at the scene first. When the sister arrived, she didn't really know where he was, so she's on the phone with Camille, and Camille tells her go to the exact address that, you know, the locations is showing you that he's at. And she rings the doorbell. The person responds to the camera and they're like, we're not home, we're out of town. So she knocks on a few more doors and ends up locating his car. When she walks upon the car, that's when she finds her brother with his phone in his hand. The phone is not smashed, it's not broken. Tyler had committed suicide with a firearm, and she called the ambulance. The ambulance arrived, but they didn't immediately take him to the hospital. Something Camille had noticed was that there was a scratch on Tyler's car near the wheel. Camille, her friend, and her sister get in the car. They head to the hospital and they're talking to the security. The security is like, you can't come in, you have to be family. They're telling the security, we are family, but at the same time the mother ends up arriving and she's like, I'm the mother. And the security is like, only one person can go back there. And the mom's like, okay, well, it's gonna be me. And this really upset Camille because she wanted to see her brother uninterrupted, just like by herself without her mother being there. Because all of the siblings had tried to commit suicide in the past, they had all discussed at some point what they would want to have happen if they did pass away. The reason why Camille noticed the scratch on the car was because she was thinking, what could Tyler have been going through to the point that he rather have committed suicide than going home and facing whatever was going to be at home. She was like, my mother's rage is so much, you never know, she could go off for just like spilling water on the floor. So she was wondering like, what was Jordan going through that night? Some people in the comments were asking like, what did your neighbors think every time that your mom threw you out of the house? And she's like, well, my mom was at odds with everyone, including my neighbors. After Tyler passed away, the mother was actually put on suicide watch, and Camille said that no one cared enough to check if her sister and her needed to be put on suicide watch, but they were okay because they had each other. A lot of the people that came out to see her mother and, donate and try to take care of the mom afterwards were either from her religious organization or were her siblings. And a lot of these people her mother hadn't talked to in years, and she had cut them off for whatever reason the mother deemed necessary. And so they still reached out because they found out what happened. They basically were being manipulated by whatever the mother was saying, and they were also enabling her to continue behaving in this way. A lot of people ended up donating to the mother for the funeral because at the time the mother was not working, but no one donated towards Camille and her sister's funeral that they put on for her brother, because at the end of the day she felt like nobody in that family really knew Tyler. There was a lot of signs of that too, and she felt like she knew how her brother wanted to be honored and that they wanted to make sure that that happened. Some of her mother's friends had reached out to her and said, you should come by the house, it would offer healing to all of you. At first Camille was like, no, we're good, but then she realized it was an opportunity to go see the twins, and so they go along with their grandparents. And when they get there, a lot of people are trying to read the sisters' faces and like try to figure out what they're thinking, and they essentially go upstairs to Tyler's room because they wanted to grab a few things. They wanted to grab his journal, some cologne, just things that reminded them of their brother. And so while they were up there, the mother comes upstairs and she shows them Tyler's phone on the dresser, and she's like, oh yeah, this was Tyler's phone, but it was smashed up completely, which the sisters obviously found very confusing because, like I said, Jordan had gotten to the scene and she had saw his phone and it was not smashed up. So they're sitting there wondering like, why did you tell us that's Jordan's phone? And if it is, why is it smashed up? It wasn't like that before. The mother leaves at that point. Jordan and Camilla are just in the room kind of like, crying, grieving, and talking about Tyler. And the mother comes back and joins them, and she's crying and she's like, I think we should go to family counseling. I think it would really help so that you guys can take accountability for Tyler's death. And at that point, Camille's like, I don't want to talk to you. I actually don't want to talk to you at all. And she was like going through the final drawer of Tyler's things, and her mother smashes the drawer closed, smashing Camille's hand, and then proceeds to kick them out of the house. The entire time while those people are at the mother's house, she was manipulating them to think, oh my God, I'm this like grieving mother. I'm just so sad. I'm so sad. And Jordan and Camille are just going crazy. I just need so much help. Like, it's just so horrible. That same night that the mother kicked them out of the house, they were supposed to be a Zoom meeting with all the family members to plan Tyler's funeral, and immediately the family members were so hostile towards Camille. She was like, is this even real life? Like, I don't understand what's going on right now, to the point that she called her best friend over to witness this because she could not believe what was happening. And immediately one of the uncles says, okay, this is what's happening with the funeral. We're not going to have any speakers. It's only going to be family only, invite only, and nobody but the mother is going to be getting the ashes. There's no discussion about that. And immediately Camille unmutes herself and she's like, first of all, why would we do family only, invite only? Tyler has a lot of friends from foreign exchange program that would want to come. They literally want to fly in. And then also, like, why aren't there any speakers? Like, I want to speak at my brother's funeral, because they knew that she was going to talk about the abuse and she was going to call out her mother. So they were trying to mitigate that. That's what Camille is telling us. Essentially, the uncle told her, mother trumps daughter. Whatever the mother says goes, and she wants the ashes. That's what's happening. And if you want to speak at Tyler's funeral, have one yourself. And so at that point, Camille's like, you know what, you're right, I am going to have one. And then they proceeded to kick them off the Zoom meeting, and then they kicked them out the group chat that had also been created earlier that day to discuss Tyler's funeral. Camille basically described that Zoom as a bunch of strangers trying to put her brother's funeral together when they didn't really know him, his life, the circumstances around his death, nothing really. She said her and her sister, regardless of working full-time, going to school full-time, they figured out how to put together a funeral for their brother. They did the obituary, they created a video with memories of their brother. When it was time for them to have their funeral for their brother, they found out that same day that their mother was going to have a funeral the very next day and that they were invited. And the only reason they weren't invited is because the twins' father protested for them and basically was like, no, they should be there. And then also a bunch of friends of the mother was like, it would be wrong for you to disinvite your own daughters from your son's funeral. What Camille doesn't understand is why her mother was going around telling people that her and her sister smashed a phone. Why would they do that? What is the mother hiding when it comes to that phone? What was on that phone? They want to see the phone. They want to see what they can get off of it. Why did she smash it? And then why is she going around telling people that the sister smashed it? The mother was also trying to prevent people from going to the funeral that the sisters were throwing for their brother. She also prevented them from getting any of Tyler's possessions. Whatever they were able to grab that first day that they went to the house was the only things that they were able to recover, and they never got the phone in their possession either. When it came to the mother's funeral, despite them saying that there was going to be no speakers, the uncle ended up speaking, and he proceeded to say that a lot of people have questions about why Tyler has passed away, and he has passed away because of sin. And Camille's like, I understand the spiritual implications, but at the same time, this is implying that, you know, he died of natural causes, which was a rumor that was swirling around the family, that he died of natural causes and not that he committed suicide, or why and what would lead him to do something like that to himself. And she was basically saying that his uncle, the way he was speaking, was really showing that he did not know him. Even the photos that were used at the funeral that the mother put together, there were old photos, childhood photos. They had nothing of his recent life because they didn't have an active relationship with him. His sisters know him the best. They know him, what he's been through, who he is, what he wanted, and how he would have wanted to be honored. So to help mitigate these rumors that are going around, Camille decided to make an Instagram post and detail exactly who Tyler was, what he was going through, and what he did. And so she wanted to make sure that the family knew. And she's like, even if I can't directly tell you, I know you indirectly saw it. She knows that post got around. She knows her mother saw it. She knows some of her family saw it. So she is under the impression that a lot of her family is aware that abuse has taken place in that house. And she just feels like either they don't care to ask about the depths of it, or they're just not believing her. One of the final meetings that they had over Zoom over Tyler's funeral, her sister and her were not invited to, but she was at her grandparents' house and was able to overhear it. And while they were trying to write the obituary, the people putting on the funeral that the mother had, they didn't know his birthday. They didn't know when he graduated high school. They didn't know if he had a middle name. I mean, these are basic things to know about someone, only further highlighting that this was a bunch of strangers. When they got to the funeral that their mother put together for their brother, they were sat all the way in the back to the point that they could barely hear what was happening in the front. Their uncles, their aunties, their cousins, their siblings, their mother, all their family was sat at the very front of the venue. And so they just felt like they were being isolated once again. She also noted that a lot of the people that went to the mother's funeral did not come to the funeral that they put together. What Camille is worried about the most now is the twins and the fact that they're alone with their mother, and that she knows it's not a good thing. Like, they're going to end up having the same experience that they had, and she wants to prevent that. Her ultimate goal is to have the twins' father take full custody of the children, and she knows that's going to be really hard and that she needs solid evidence of abuse to be able to put this case in front of CPS and anybody else that she needs to. And she also knows it would take the mother doing legal actions like getting a lawyer, showing up to court. It's just going to be an uphill battle. So she needs as many eyes and ears on the story as she can so that she can get the help that she needs for her twin siblings, because she just does not want them to go through the same thing. She said since the funerals, everyone has moved on. They've gone back to life as normal. The only people that seem concerned with anything is her and her grandparents. And she said the nicest thing that her mother has done in years was that she reached out recently and showed her where her brother's gravesite was. And they went to the gravesite, and her sister was there as well. They were sitting there, and her mother turns to the twins and she's like, do you guys want to say anything to Tyler? And her baby twin sister says no, she doesn't want to say anything. And immediately the mother flies into a rage. She wipes her tears off, similar to the way that she used to do it with Camille and her siblings. and she just got angry and she was like, no, this woman hasn't changed. It immediately triggered Camille, and ultimately Camille just wants to raise awareness. She's like, this is one of the first times I ever spoke about the abuse and everything that's gone on in my childhood up until this point. She just really wants, some type of help, intervention, something, because she knows that her mother's behavior is unacceptable and she has known since she was a child. Camille, I'm sending you so much love. You're very strong to come forward with your story and share it. We spoke briefly on my live the other day and I told you I was going to do this story for you, and I wanted to make sure that I did, and I hope I did it justice. I'm really, really sorry. When it comes to child abuse, that's the one thing that really chokes me up and absolutely disgusts me, because it's like, you're an adult, you're supposed to be taking care of these babies, you're supposed to be loving them. How could you be the monster that they fear? I just wish you and your siblings nothing but the best. I hope the twins are able to get out of her grasp and that you and your sister are able to move on with your life. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for your brother, and I really do hope that he's in a better place. I am sending you an insurmountable amount of love, and I hope you guys do as well. I really do hope things get better for you. You guys tagged me in this a bunch. I wanted to make sure I got it out to you guys. I appreciate you guys as always. Bye.
Are you fucking your cousin Andrea?
I watched that 2-part live, so you don't have to. That's Shafina, and she's letting us know that her husband has been sleeping with his own blood cousin. So this all actually just happened on New Year's Day. Shafina and her ex-husband TJ have been married since 2002. They divorced in 2023, and then they got remarried in 2025. TJ actually travels for work, and so he had come back home for the holidays, and they're all having a good time. Her adult kids had come over, everybody's drinking, and she had work early in the morning. She is a traveling registered nurse, and so she told him, like, I'm going to stay up with you guys until midnight, and then I'm going to bed. So she does just that, and he comes to bed at about 1:30 in the morning. So she wakes up the next morning and her alarm is going off, but it's not getting her out of bed. His alarm ends up going off, and his phone was in the living room, so it forced her to get out of bed. She gets out of bed and she goes to turn off his alarm, but something inside of her told her to go through his phone. Now, she had already had this intuitive feeling that something was kind of off, so she kind of just followed it, and she's in the laundry room now. Immediately she went straight to the recently deleted messages. She's scrolling through them. The first conversation she finds kind of looks like he's talking to a sex worker. The sex worker asks him, like, this isn't like law enforcement, right? And he's like, no, I'm just looking for some pussy. And so they're exchanging like rates, and then she sends him an address. She looks up the address at that moment, and it's to a hotel. So immediately Shafina's sitting there like, are you hiring prostitutes? Fast forward, she's still going through the text messages, and she lands on a number that was a 252 number. She's like, who is this? She opens it up. She's scrolling. The first few messages that Shafina sees, TJ is telling the person, oh, another night of no pussy. And so now Shafina's thinking like, oh my God, who is he telling our business to? Like, what's going on? And then she sees the other person respond and say, hey, daddy, can you send me $20? Can you send me $40? TJ's replying back saying, I don't have any extra money. I just paid my bill. Shafina sees a message where TJ is telling the person like, yeah, I don't really like KJ for you. He's a kid to me, blah, 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 blah. So Shafina is thinking like, KJ. His cousin Andrea had told me that she was messing with a guy named KJ or something like that. At this point, she's still not connecting the dots. Then the person replies and says, why can't we just be together? And TJ tells her, oh, I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to be in the mountains. And she's like, well, I can just come with you and I can just sit in the hotel room while you work. Now, from here, the messages get a little explicit, so be warned. TJ tells the person, oh my God, I'm so sexually frustrated. I need to hit it from the back. And the person replies back and says, no, daddy, I need to see you hit it from the front. I want to watch your eyes roll to the back of your head. So then TJ proceeds to tell the person, send me a picture of your kitty cat. So then the person sends a picture, and then Shafina opens the photo, and it's like a photo from this angle, right? And you can see the person's face. Of course, it's his cousin Andrea's face looking down at sending him a picture of her kitty cat. So at this point, Shafina is mind blown. She's like, what? What does this mean? What is actually going on? She says she literally froze and stood in the laundry room for 30 minutes trying to figure out what was what. The last message she tells us about is TJ telling his cousin, make sure you shave your kitty cat because I want you to write my face. Shafina is in such shock. She can't even get herself together to take screenshots, send pictures of the conversation. She couldn't figure out what TJ had her saved in his phone under. And because she was in just so much turmoil and shock, she couldn't even remember her own phone number to type it in herself. She's supposed to be out of the house by 5:45. It's 5:30. She's running late. and she has a 2-hour drive to get to her job. So she's like, I need to confront him now. She goes to TJ, mind you, he's knocked out drunk. She wakes him up and she's like, hey, are you sleeping with your cousin Andrea? And immediately he gets defensive and he's like, what are you talking about? Are you delusional? Are you having those nightmares again? No, I'm not sleeping with my cousin. He gets up to go use the bathroom, and while he's gone, she goes into his phone again, pulls up the picture, and he walks back in. So Shafina looks at her ex-husband TJ and she's like, well, why is she sending you pictures of her kitty cat, and why are you asking her to ride your face? And he's like getting more and more upset, and he's like, no one's sending me pictures of their kitty cat. I'm not asking her to do anything like that. Look, I'll show you my messages. So he goes to grab his phone, and of course the last thing that was on the phone was her looking at the picture. So he opens it up and he goes, oh dang, it is right there. And so now she's going off. She's like, wow, you're really going to lie to my face? You're really out here sleeping with your cousin? What is actually going on? He just gets his stuff and he leaves. Shafina jumps in the shower. She gets in their car. She starts driving to work. She said it was the worst drive ever. She usually tends to enjoy her little rides to work. They're not that bad for her, but this one was really bad. Once she got to work, there was too many nurses that showed up. And so they asked her like, hey, do you want to do treatment? She was like, yeah, I don't really have to interact with too many people. I just have to put band-aids on them. And it's an 8-hour shift. Let me do that instead. It took her a while to even get going. She kept going outside to catch some air, to compose herself, and she didn't really want to talk to anybody about it. She was like, this is super embarrassing. I can't believe this is happening to me. And so she was like, let me call my sister-in-law, which is TJ's sister. And so she tells the sister everything. Her name is Tiara, I believe. And Tiara's like, there's no way, you're lying. It can't be possible. She gets off the phone with her. She calls TJ's aunt and she tells her the same thing. And the aunt is like, are you lying? Are you sure? Like, and she's like, look, this is all the information that I know right now. Shafina has a pretty good memory, so she actually remembered the number that he was texting. I tried to call it back, but she was off by one number. And she was just like so heartbroken because she's like, wow, I invite Andrea over all the time. I have her clean for me. I pay her. I take her to, TJ Maxx. I take her to Ross. If she likes something or wants to buy it, I get it for her. I take care of her. She spends time at my house. She sleeps at my house. She was just at their house the weekend after Thanksgiving. And so she's just like, how could you portray me like this? Shafina explains to us that Andrea's mom and TJ's dad are biological brother and sister, and they have the same grandparents and everything. But one thing that Shafina knew was that she was not about to deal with this shame on her own. She was not about to carry this load on her own while they're living in the dark and doing whatever they're doing, and the family gets to live on without having to, live with this. And so she's like, no, everyone's going to know about this. Now, mind you, when she posted it on Facebook, she thought it was just going to go to her little small town. She didn't expect it to blow up on Facebook, make its way over to TikTok. Now, like I said, she wasn't able to get any receipts. She tried to go to T-Mobile and pull up the text messages, but she could only see the timestamps and she could only see like who he texted, but she couldn't see the messages. And she was asking people like, do you guys know how I can get, access to the messages, because they are on the same family plan. Now, she did notice though, right after he left the house around 6 o'clock in the morning, he immediately texted Andrea, probably to tell her like, hey, Shafina knows about us. Shafina recalls on New Year's Eve how TJ out of nowhere was talking to their daughter, and he said something like, yeah, your cousin Andrea really needs to get her life together. She needs to get a job, da 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 da. And everybody looked at him like, what? Yeah, that's true, but like, what does that got to do with anything we're doing right now? Like, Shafina's looking back. She's like, you know what? There was signs. Like, there was things that I was kind of noticing. For example, one time Shafina was asleep. She had work in the morning, and she's perimenopausal, and so she gets really hot, and she needs her bedroom door open. Andrea and TJ were in the living room still drinking, and so she would fall asleep, and then all of a sudden she would get uncomfortable, and she would look, and the door would be closed. So she would tell TJ like, hey, open the door. He would open it, and then that ended up happening 6 times that night. And when she kept asking TJ like, why do you keep closing the door? He's like, oh yeah, me and Andrea are still drinking. We don't want to like wake you up. Da, da, da. She's like, well, if you keep closing the door and making me hot, you're gonna keep waking me up anyway. Thinking back now, they were probably doing a little nasty in her living room in her house, which Andrea later on you'll find out was trying to say that they've never done anything at Shafina's house, but Shafina's like, there's no way that's possible. There's no way you guys were going all the way to the country just to do the do. Shafina does mention that Andrea doesn't have any teeth, doesn't have a job, does have young children, and she just thinks it's so interesting that in the text message thread, TJ was telling her like, yeah, I'm about to get, my apartment back. I'm about to be on my own again. I need you to really get a job. So Shafina's like, were they actually in love? Like, was this just not lust? Were you guys like actually trying to like start a life together? Of course, Shafina is wondering if any of Andrea's young children are TJ's children, because she's like, could that be a possibility? I don't know. She doesn't even want to know if that is a possibility. So after working her 8-hour shift, she ended up driving back home. And when she walked in, TJ was in the kitchen cooking up a whole like a feast, right? And she looked at him and she's like, what do you think you're doing? You're acting like nothing happened. I need you to get out of my house right now. She kicked him out. She never let him back in after that. And she threw away all that food that he was cooking. She was like, I don't want anything that your nasty little paws were on. Now, fast forward, obviously is on live on Facebook telling us this story, and all of a sudden you start to hear somebody like honking obnoxiously right outside her door. She looks out and then she's like, I'll be right back, you guys. She goes outside and I got my laptop close to my ear trying to hear who's at the door. All of a sudden you see Shafina come back into the frame. Now, we don't really know at this point who she's talking to. We soon find out it's Tiara, TJ's sister, that has pulled up on her, and basically Tiara is asking her, like, do you have to mourn in public? Like, do you have to tell people all about us and your family? And Rafina's standing 10 toes down. She's like, you or your family is not about to tell me how I get to handle this situation. I don't care. Am I surprised that this has gone as viral as it has? Yes. Do I care? No. She kept saying, like, I'm not going to hurt in private. I'm not going to hurt in the dark. People are going to know about this. And so her and Tiara start going at it back and forth. And Tiara tells her, like, are you thinking about your son who's going to get bullied over this? Shafina turns to her son and she goes, do you care about what your mom is doing as far as outing your daddy and his cousin for, you know, messing around with each other? And you can't really hear what the son says back. But then Tiara is like, did he even know about that? He's looking like he's really surprised right now. And so they're arguing back and forth. So now Tiara is just yelling at Shafina, telling her to get off live, get off live. And Shafina's like, no, I'm not getting off live. And so Tiara looks at her and she goes, well, I'm going to grab the keys to the Durango. And then she's like, you're not about to grab nothing. Then you both see them go off camera and Shafina comes and she grabs the phone and she takes us to, I think, like the entrance of her house. And you can hear like keys rattling. And then all of a sudden you just hear Tiara and Shafina scuffling, like just going at it. And Tiara is, you know, trying to do her big one. She's like the big dog of her family. She thought she was going to come and big dog Shafina. And Shafina was like, absolutely not. She was like, mind you, I didn't even put my all into that. But she was like, it was 100% a scuffle, and she did not leave with those keys. Now, the backstory of the Durango keys was Tiara and her husband had a Durango. They fell behind on the payments. This was before Shafina was even a nurse yet. Shafina and her husband, TJ, took over the payments. When she became a nurse, she paid off the car. Now, mind you, the car is out of commission in Shafina's garage for as long as she can remember. So now she's looking at Tiara like, was this your big opportunity to come take the car back that I paid for? She was going to eventually, you know, put it back on the streets, drive it, take care of it. It has like transmission problems and everything. But she was like, you're not about to big dog me and come and take keys out of my house. No. They got into a scuffle at that point. Later on, Shafina does tell us that they hugged it out immediately. They, you know, went their separate ways, but she obviously was heartbroken that Tiara would come and do such a thing, especially, you know, after her being there for her so many times in the past when TJ was doing so many other messed up stuff. She's like, that really, you know, broke my heart. That live ends and then she comes back on live. I don't know if she did any lives in between, but these are just the ones that are recorded and still up on her Facebook page. And so the second live, she's kind of giving us, you know, the wrap up of what happened on the first live. And then she tells us that her oldest daughter, Shafina's oldest daughter, is like the house manager. She's the family manager. She takes care of everybody. She makes sure everybody's good. And she's like, I trained her really well. She knows how to get information out of people. So apparently her oldest daughter went and called Andrea and tried to get information out of her. And she is doing so good. She plays us the recording and basically like, yo, I'm trying to call my dad. He's not getting back to me. Like, I'm just trying to understand like what's going on. I just want some clarification. I'm not coming at you violently, aggressively. I just want to know the truth. Like, tell me what's actually going on. And so, you know, Andrea's beating around the bush saying, yeah, this is a lot. This is too much. I got to think about my kids. You guys are grown. It's not really going to affect you. And the oldest daughter is like, it's not about that. Like, I need to know what's going on in my family. She's like, did this happen when I was a child? Has this happened just recently? Like, give me the backstory. Essentially, long story short, Andrea lets her know that TJ and Andrea have been sleeping together since 2010, which makes the oldest daughter a very young child at that point. Basically, Andrea tells the oldest daughter that TJ and Andrea got drunk one day. One thing led to another and they slept together, and then they just basically didn't stop for the last almost 15 years sleeping together. Oldest daughter is asking Andrea, like, why didn't you guys stop at some point? Like, you knew you both have children separately. Like, why would you put all of that in like danger? This is when Andrea told her, the oldest daughter, like, we never slept together in your mom's house. But obviously Shafina doesn't believe that. But ultimately, that's the story. That's what happened. Obviously, everything that happens in the dark has to come to light. And now Shafina's like, I'm 100% divorcing this man, and she's hoping that her lawyer would be able to, get her hands on the text messages and stuff like that. But outside of that, she's like, look, I'm not doing this for clout. I'm not doing this for money. She's like, I've had money. I've always had money. That's not what this is about. This is my real life. This actually happened to me, and I'm just dealing with it the best I can. She's like, I obviously didn't want to drag the Garners, which is her last name that she got through marriage. She's like, I don't even remember myself as Shafina Wilson. She's like, but you best believe I'm going to go right back to that because there's no alternative. She's like, I'm disgusted by you. I can't even look at you. I can't even think of you as the same person. She's absolutely heartbroken. I'm sending her so much love. Shafina, nobody deserves to go through this. And I hope you know that all this does is take people out of your life that never deserved to be there in the first place. You seem like such a genuine, fun, loving, just like generous person, and I wish you nothing but the best 2026 that you can possibly have. And I hope that one day you're able to put this all behind you and just live the life that you're supposed to live. Outside of that, you guys tagged me in this. I wanted to make sure I got it out to you guys. I appreciate you guys as always. Bye.
TJ was out here stepping out on his wife with his first cousin, his blood cousin, and they've been doing this since 2010. That's 15 years of deception. 15 years of sitting at family reunions, eating potato salad side by side, knowing exactly what they were doing behind closed doors. That's a level of betrayal I can't even process. And poor Shafina, my heart breaks for her. She was doing everything right, working as a traveling nurse, paying bills, paying off his sister's car, taking the cousin shopping at TJ Maxx and Ross. She was financing her own heartbreak and didn't even know it. For Andrea to sit in Shafina's face, sleep in her house, let Shafina buy her things, all while sleeping with her husband, that's a special kind of evil. But let's talk about TJ's audacity. The unmitigated gall of this man to get caught red-handed, gaslight her about nightmares, and then stand in the kitchen cooking breakfast like nothing happened? Cooking grits and eggs like he didn't just blow up his whole family? I would have launched that skillet straight out the window, just like she did. And then here comes Tiara, the sister. If my brother was doing something that vile, I'd be hiding in shame, not pulling up to his wife's house, honking the horn, talking about mourning in private. No, ma'am. When the disrespect is that loud, the reckoning needs to match the energy. Trying to fight Shafina over Durango keys for a car she paid for? Delusional. The whole family sounds toxic if they're protecting that kind of betrayal. The real MVP, though? The daughter. She got on that phone and extracted the truth nobody else could get. When Andrea admitted it had been going on since 2010, child, I would have thrown the whole phone. Shafina is better than me because she handled that with way more grace than most would. She needs to divorce him yesterday, change the locks, change her number, and leave that entire messy family in the dust. She deserves so much better than that dysfunction. This story is just, it's heavy.